All right, you guys, Drake Riggs here with SCMP MMA, South China Morning Post. I'm joined by two Cageside press guys today. Of course, Gabriel Gonzalez has been with me all week. Gabriel Gonzalez, my apologies, got to get it right. Alex Behunin is here today. The event just ended, UFC 266. Boy, I'm exhausted, you guys. It has been a hell of an international fight week, capped off with two of the best rounds of the year and maybe ever, and I mean just the fights overall, but those really stood out obviously. Volkanovsky and Ortega's third round, and then Volkanovsky and Moraes the first round. But you guys, we saw the champs retain. Diaz came back, still in the losing column. Let's start off with that one, because of course that was like the main event, but not the main event. You know, Diaz and Lawler 2. Nick Diaz, he loses via TKO. Last time that happened, I think it was against Jeremy Jackson way back in the day, going way back. I could be wrong, but I know that did happen. So Robbie Lawler gets it done, you guys. He's back in the win column, snaps his losing streak. What do we make of that performance, Alex?
Yeah, it's tough taking my Nick Diaz.
I got you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Taking my Nick Diaz fanboy out of it, right? Because we were all pumped that he's back. He looked. I think it was more of Robbie Lawler showed up. Robbie Lawler showed up violent. He showed up his ruthlessness, and he showed up and he was throwing bombs. And I think that inactivity of Nick Diaz showed up tonight, and I think that was the biggest takeaway from it. And yeah.
Just the durability, and I think just the lack of pop behind Nick Diaz. I think that was the biggest thing. When you saw how many shots he was landing and the output, and Robbie just kept walking through them, and I really felt like if these were actually having an effect, like, for example, BJ Penn or some of those older fights of Nick, there would be cause for concern, but Robbie almost looked like he was enjoying it. I think he was enjoying parry, and then just when Nick stopped, and he would just rip him to the body. So I think that was it, just the lack of pop from Nick after so many years away. I think that's what really got the win for Robbie.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because I thought Nick looked all right in the beginning. Obviously, the first round was his best round. I think, did we agree that he won that one?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, and not like blowout, but it was close. He was, I think Robbie just kind of warming up, getting in there, and that was a matchup that he benefits him a lot better than, like we were saying, Gabriel, the Colby Covingtons, or those guys who are just going to really smother Lawler style, which he was allowed to work in this one, was actually pressuring and getting Nick back against the cage, which I feel like we haven't seen Robbie do that to someone in a while. So that was very good to see, and just kept doing it and tired out Diaz, which, funny thing to say considering. But you guys, what's next for both guys? Let's leave it there with this fight.
I mean, Robbie gets whoever he wants in from like 5 to 10 in the rankings, maybe even 11 to 15. I think that Robbie, look, this doesn't get him Kamaru Usman. Let's, respectfully.
Would have got Nick him.
That's different. Nick, I mean, you saw when you have fans who are taking the time to count 209 months between fights. That's the kind of drawing power that he has. But yeah, whoever he wants, and then Nick, I mean, Masvidal's out there, and some guys at 170 could be good. I wouldn't mind a little bit of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, maybe. I think that could be fun. I think Nick's similar to the guys boxing in Triller. I mean, he's not interested in give me the biggest fights. I think give him a fun matchup. I mean, I think it's safe to say that those guys, top 3, middleweight, welterweight, they're probably going to handle him. But just give him somebody who will bang with them, maybe talk with them. That's what you want, let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick Diaz versus Matt Brown.
I love it.
Took it out of my mouth.
Nick Diaz versus Tim Means.
Okay.
Nick Diaz versus Mike Perry. All fun things. I think for Robbie Lawler, I would like to see him actually matched up with Mike Perry. They were supposed to fight last year. Maybe give him a ranked opponent, but for right now, Mike Perry.
Nico Price is a welterweight.
Ooh.
Add him up there.
Yeah, that's
Just complete the six-pack over there.
Yeah, I think that, you guys, I got your opinions first, so I'm going to take them. Yeah, Nico Price for Robbie for me, and Nick, he needs to go back to retirement, if we're going to call it that. I'm going to think I don't want to see him again. I didn't want to see him this time, if I'm going to be brutally honest to you guys, but that's me. So Valentina Shevchenko, though, she gets it done once again, unsurprisingly. She is a flawless fighter. Gabriel, we know this. Lauren Murphy, though, I thought, we knew she looked intimidated. She was not having any of the talk of this invincible woman going into this fight, and came out, showed it, I think, like, she didn't win any rounds or anything, but she put up a fight, right?
I think at a certain point, especially toward the later rounds, you realize, I heard this in boxing, I thought it was also correct. I think that Lauren Murphy had that moment where she realized everything they've told me about Shevchenko is true. And I think that that's really it. At the end of the day, it was always going to be about being able to get within the distance. Lauren Murphy just struggled with that all night. She was never able to get to the position where she could work her offense, and that was really the end of that.
Alex, any thoughts?
I just kind of wanted to know what Lauren Murphy's game plan was, because it seemed like, I don't know, I didn't see anything, and she had this thing like, I'm the one to beat Valentina, like I have a plan to do it. I personally didn't see it at all, and the Boo Birds did come out a little bit, but Valentina shut him up with that TKO win, and I want to see the trilogy. It needs to happen.
Yeah, I think we're working our way towards that slowly. And I mean, Dana's more open to it now. Valentina seems more open to it now. Just depends on what happens with Nunes and everything. But I think we feel pretty comfortable that she will continue to do her thing as well in December. Juliana Pena next on the docket there. All right, you guys, the main event was a very interesting one in my opinion because, well, first of all, it was a great fight, but it was pretty one-sided though. I mean, obviously the scorecards, I had all 5 rounds for Volkanovski. Some people had some 10-8 thrown in there. I was very close on, I think, the 4th round, and I think there was an argument for the 3rd because he practically finished him at the end of that fight, and there's that argument there that he did get helped up, so that is technically, should have been a TKO like Volkanovski just said, but crazy stuff. That 3rd round, I was losing my mind out there, Gabriel. I mean, tell me, what did you think about this fight?
You know what? Just the 3rd round, just the submission, or 4th round, the submissions. Volkanovski almost taking him out. We had a good seat, good vantage point. I'll be honest, Brian Ortega came out to that epic purge walkout and everything.
One of the coolest walkouts.
I will say, when I saw Volkanovski get up off of him at the end of that round, I literally thought Volkanovski was the one who had a purge victim. Brian Ortega was flat on his back, his face was bloody, and I was like, I just watched a man commit a homicide and walk off. I was just shocked. Credit to Brian Ortega. He looked fantastic, but I think at the end of the day, you saw just how good Alex is.
I mean, it just continues to show how goddamn tough Ortega is, the Max fight and then this one. But your thoughts on the main event, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. Is it fight of the year?
I can't give it fight of the year because it wasn't as competitive as I think a fight of the year needs to be.
Right. For me, I need to stop overlooking Alexander Volkanovski.
That's what I was saying yesterday.
It's time for me to
face the music.
It is, and be with my fellow Alexander, and just he is elite. He's good. I mean, Brian Ortega has a heart. He's got that Mexican heart. He's got that Mexican style. He's got that Mexican. He's savage. But he was just too much. Volkanovski was just too much.
Yeah, it was impressive stuff. I mean, he does everything so well, and I mean, his ground and pound was just devastating. The leg kicks, he puts it all together so well, and the submission defense obviously has survived some of those submissions, the guillotine in particular, as he was talking about. Very funny words. I won't use them here. You can go watch in the interview. It's up now. But yeah, you guys. So what is next for Volkanovski? I think pretty clear. We got it. It's Holloway or Rodriguez. Either one. The winner of that fight is I don't know. Holloway 3? It's weird.
So part of me said, if you're Alex, why? Now it's starting to be like, what, do you want to give him best 3 out of 5 because I already won 2 out of 3? But Volkanovski is like, look, I'm getting paid for it, and respectfully, you look at the division, it's very different than it was at the start of the year. Zabit, we're hearing he's not coming back. So that takes out, the only other guy outside of Max that you would want to fight, and then obviously Yair pairing him up with Max, you're really... Max is taking on arguably the only other top guy in that triumvirate outside of Ortega. So now either Yair or Max, it's really like, well, who else are we going to talk about? Giga still needs at least 1 or 2 more big ones. Anyone else still got to climb the ladder. So if it's Max, it's Max. If it's Yair, I'd actually like it just to change it up a bit. But that's assuming he gets by Max, which is also a challenge.
Yes, quite a tough task. Max Holloway's pretty much a co-champion, I would say. And
great way to put it.
Yeah, and the freshness. I love me freshness. So yeah, your matchup would be nice. But Alex, what do you think?
It's Max Yair, but I like how he was saying in the post-fight interview that he wants to stay active, and if that means going up to lightweight, maybe fighting like a Beneil Dariush, so like fight a contender up there, and then come back, because I don't want to see him sit out another 6 months. Like, I want him to be active, and that's how you become a star in the UFC. Is you become active, and you have people remember you. And he's like just there. He's almost there. Just needs to get through. So November is Holloway Yair. Maybe get one in December against the lightweight. Maybe a fight night. Who knows.
Would be fun either way. But all right, you guys, we will wrap up UFC 266 with, got to give love to everyone else on the card. So out of all the fights that we saw up until the big 3, Gabriel, let's start with you. Which performance or fights, either one, whatever it was out of the fights beforehand, what stood out to you the most? What are you taking home like that was some good stuff?
My dude Jalen Turner goes out there and just owns Uros Medic in that first round. A lot of hype behind Uros. He promotes himself well and performed well, but Jalen showing he's got some of that special stuff too.
Alex?
I really like that performance. I think Jalen Turner. I think people slept on Jalen Turner. Chris Dawkins. That was my performance. I think people need to start thinking of him as a heavyweight contender, because he's knocking these dudes out, and everyone's on this like Cyril Gane train. Obviously, he's like he's the future, right? But like Gane, Aspinall, Dawkins, they're all these the future of the division. I think Chris Dawkins needs to be in that conversation, and I think he proved it.
All right, good stuff there. And for me, I think it's probably Jessica Andrade, even though I expected a very relatively easy win for her. I've been saying ever since this fight was made, it's going to look just like the Gadelha fight. It actually did not at all look like that, because for some reason Calvillo didn't try to grapple whatsoever. So we saw a pretty vintage and maybe more reserved tactical approach from Andrade with that same nastiness that she gives us with the Bacek stock up, bulldozer style. So 20 fights overall
20
now?
fights in UFC. I think they said she won 13 or 14 of them. Just very impressive.
30 years old, 31 fights. She still has a long career ahead of her. So
What's next for Calvillo?
What's next for Calvillo? I mean, that's a tough one, man. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe Jennifer. I don't know.
I think it comes down to if she wants to stay at 125, which she said she's pretty adamant about, but I don't know. I feel like she's kind of losing a bit of that, to the bigger athletes at 125 is all it is. So I don't know if that's some working with the PI maybe, but if it is 125, I think some retooling for sure.
Definitely safe to assume. But all right, you guys, we will wrap it up there. It has been a long week. As I said, UFC 266 was pretty darn good. One we will remember. So thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Check out Alex Behunin. Check out Gabriel Gonzalez. Check out Cageside Press. He's with both of them. So yeah, and SCMP, of course, where you're at. So thank you guys. Until next time.